Let's talk with Catherine Austin Fitz in Tennessee. She's on the phone, ready to go. She publishes the Solari Report. Catherine, can you hear me?
It's great to be here, Max.
Now, Catherine, you actually, if I have been reading your biographical information correctly, you started your career in the devil's lair there at Goldman Sachs.
Yes, that's the case. I was a summer intern at Goldman Sachs in the summer of 1977.
Okay. Now let's go flash forward to the present. Goldman Sachs will be paying out the biggest bonuses in their 140-year history this year, apparently. Now, how is that possible when the financial system is literally being held together, or so we're told, with Scotch tape and paper clips? What's going on here?
Well, remember, Goldman Sachs is primarily an intermediary, and they can make if they can make more money dumping the economy than they can pumping. So if you time it right, particularly if you have inside information, you can make money as the economy improves and make money as the economy fails. In fact, failure is often more profitable. But we've also seen the interaction between the federal government is such that when Goldman loses money, the government steps in, does a series of things that guarantees them profit, access to capital, and then when Goldman makes money, they don't have to give it to the government. They get to keep it for themselves. So it's kind of lose you win you win, and it's the ultimate in welfare economics.
Right.
And so Goldman has just recently paid off the TARP program, gotten out from under, and is now free to pay as much as they want in bonuses. Although I must say, Max, that this is one of the first times I've ever thought this. I took a look at the announcement last week about the expected bonuses at Goldman, and I thought, this has reached the point where these guys need to be worried about the safety of their family. I mean, the arrogance is really dangerous at this point because the mood is shifting very dramatically here in North America.
Well, yeah, I mean, you've got mainstream media press. You've got Lawrence Kudlow over there on CNBC. You've got Paul Farrell at MarketWatch, Dow Jones, Wall Street Journal, openly questioning some of these larcenistic tendencies of Goldman, and they are angry. And these guys are acolytes of the kind of the Murdoch, Fox News, laissez-faire system that we're just supposed to look the other way while this wealth pilfering is going on. But you go ahead.
Well, there's something. I mean, you're describing criminals that are upset because other criminals are better at it and making more money. So, but there's another fact pattern, which is I just came back from a meeting in Arizona, and a world of hardworking, responsible, small business people who are having their lending cut off, even though they're perfectly profitable. But the economic warfare is coming down on them hard. And what they're beginning to realize is something that you and I have said for years, that this is really an intentional criminal endeavor, and they've been had.
Yeah.
And when you have people with that, who have that kind of record of responsibility and hard work, and they realize that what is coming at them is criminal,
right?
Then they're prepared to take action.
Okay, so what you're describing there is a larceny arbitrage. So there's different classes of larceny. You've got Goldman at the top of the larceny hierarchy, and now you've got guys like, as we mentioned, who are in the middle of the larceny hierarchy, who might be on CNBC or Fox News, who are actually now being victimized, which always happens in a huge pyramid scheme, is that ultimately everybody loses at the end of a pyramid scheme. And so now even the people who are mid-level losers in the pyramid scheme. And if I'm not mistaken, just last year, Goldman was targeted and implicated in a scheme where they're actually making huge bets against their own clients.
Right.
Could you go into that a little bit? It was in the bond market.
Right. When you're making as big bets as they are against, when you're betting that the economy will fail and profiting from its fail, increasingly you're betting against everybody. I would say that Goldman's not at the top of the larceny scale. I'd say they're at the top of the larceny bureaucracy.
Well, they were selling bonds on behalf of customers and then selling short those bonds in the market, driving the price lower. So, in fact, they were turning their clients into fodder. And, of course, they hide in the tall weeds of saying we're trying to maintain liquidity, we're trying to maintain price discovery, we're trying to maintain capital ratios. And they use all the jargon that they possibly can. But basically, when you blow away the jargon and you blow away the smoke, it's basically grand theft larceny.
One of the most interesting things you've seen is you now have the sort of the squabbling reaching. I mean, what we've watched is Lehman go down, Bear Stearns go down, AIG go down, and it's kind of a financial cannibalism on Wall Street.
Right. So you've got the
literally
bailouts.
your success depends on being able to take down one of your fellow syndicate members.
Right. Let's remember that the bailouts of AIG ended up as being a pass-through mechanism to just put money in the Goldman pocket, which now it turns out they're just going to put it in their own pockets as far as their bonus schemes.
Correct.
Right. So this is just a pass-through mechanism. So what about this $13.6 trillion so far we've seen in government subsidies, government bailout money? This is also approximately the loss in portfolio value of Americans across the board. So is there a kind of a matchup there?
Right. Well, it's another thing. If you look at the history of the Republic from the Revolutionary War until about a year or two ago, it took us our entire history to accumulate $12 trillion of debt. And now, literally in a year and a half, we've bestowed the equivalent amount of money on the banks. And it's literally like rounding up all the net equity left in the country and just transferring it to a small banking sector. And that's why I call it a financial coup d'etat, because it's that significant and that extreme.
And how come Americans aren't responding?
I disagree that they're not interested. I mean, if you look at the history of the last 20 years, the people who stood up in this kind of process have been killed, assassinated, and it's very, the violence, the covert violence in America is significant, has been significant for a long time. The biggest job industry in America is sort of the latest version of COINTELPRO, which is, surveillance and controlling of America.
Okay, speaking of covert violence, Catherine Austin Fitz,